Right, folks, here we are, episode 10 of Allergic to Silverware. Our special guest this evening, former Finn Harps, former Derby County, former Crusaders, former Drogheda United. Any other teams play?
He played at that. There was a greyhound track at the place he used to play at. I can't mind.
Oh, that's right. Yes. Sorry.
The theatre of dreams, lads.
Of course. It pains me to say it. Derry City legend as well. Barry Molloy. Barry, great to have you on.
Thanks for having me, man. Cheers.
No sweat. And of course, the brains and the looks of the operation, Mr. Mark Forker as well.
I'm getting a tan, lad. I'm working on this tan out here.
No, you're not, folks. You're definitely not. You're actually getting
the wall.
whiter.
It's the walls. Not good. Not good.
Yeah, look, it's been a great. I suppose speak about how the podcast has been going. We're in episode 10. No solicitors' letters yet, but hopefully, if Barry can give us a few insights into what Derry was like a couple of years ago, there might be a few on the way. We'll get to that first. I just want to speak about the social media stuff that we have going on. We're available on Twitter. We're available on Facebook. We have the YouTube channel, and it's great that people are commenting. People are giving their feedback, and I suppose it's a way for us to sort of connect with you. Let us know how you're feeling about the whole thing, and I suppose it's great to see the views. It's great to see people subscribing, and I just suppose it gives us that connect with the audience out there. Which seems to be growing each week, which is great, and we really appreciate it all. So,
and Cowan, just to come across you there, lad, if I was wanting to access Allergic to Silverware outside of YouTube, is there any ways that I can do that now?
Jesus, Mark, you must have read my mind, Chief. There is actually a way. It's funny you should bring that up. There is a way. We're actually now on SoundCloud. Funny you should bring that up. We're now in SoundCloud, and nothing. I always like to tell the listeners and the viewers, nothing here is preempted. That was just totally off the cuff for myself and Mark, and it was great that he brought that up. Yes, we're now on SoundCloud, so you can download episodes if you want to maybe listen to them on your commute, or if you're in the car, or if you want to be eating up your data or whatever. You can download the episodes, download the SoundCloud app, and you can find us on there as well. That's great, Chief. That's really good that you reminded me of that.
That's brilliant. Barry's going to be downloading the SoundCloud in the morning. Hey, great stuff.
You'll be the first man on. Look,
a bit of shameless marketing, never done any harm, huh?
Never did. Look, I'll start us off. Barry, look, I know you from, playing against you. I know you better from playing with you. You've had a great career. This podcast is supposed to be named Allergic to Silverware, which it doesn't really concern you. That it's funny that you've actually agreed to come on, because that is one notion or one phrase that doesn't suit you at all. You've won cups, league cups, leagues, FAI cups. You've won pretty much everything in the domestic game here. But I suppose we take you back to the start. How is your football career in terms of you went to Derby at an early age? You went as a striker. Is that true?
Believe it or not, I mean, no one would probably believe that, but I went to Derby as a 15-year-old, centre forward, just blistering pace, scored 30-40 goals a season. And then after my first season, I sort of gradually dropped back from midfield and then centre half as well. So, not a lot of people believe that, because I've only scored about 14 goals for Derry in 10 years. So I fairly changed my career my football over the space of a career.
Yeah, was there a Young Player of the Year award on there somewhere?
No, but what happened there was, when I signed for Drogheda, they asked us for wee stats on ourselves and our careers. They put on a program, and they put that in, and people think I got Young Player of the Year at Derby. I didn't. I was nominated for Young Player of the Year, so I just want to clear that up, because people have probably been going, this boy's talking shit.
Barry's chatting shit.
I got nominated for Young Player of the Year, and I think Twiggy got it. It was like we were in the reserves not the year, but Twiggy was, Jesus, he scored about 35 goals a season. He was a goal machine, so he got it ahead of me, and he deserved it.
Who nominated you, Barry? Your mum?
Of course.
You just keep that one. You just keep that one for the Bentley, is it? On the night out after a few pints. You can tell them, I got Young Player of the Year over in Derby.
A wee fake photograph and all that.
They went through a real spell of kind of signing a lot of big players. You know, I suppose the kind of me and Fox started chatting before, kind of in our era, and the sticker book collections and things like that. There, you'd sort of recognise all these lads like Ravanelli, Paulo Wanchope, Christie. Was Delap there? Was Roy Delap there as well?
Delap was there. He was there for about 3 or 4 years that I was there.
Yeah.
Some amazing players, to be fair. Like the boys you mentioned, but probably the best out of the lot was Kinkladze. He played for Man City before and Ajax, but he was unbelievable. Unbelievable, he was.
He'd make you look a bit silly in training, Baz.
He's one of them wee boys. You looked at him and you thought, this boy's a wee fat man. Like,
Yeah.
see if you got close to him, he just boom, he'd go past you like that, and he's strong as well, and technically unbelievable. Just leave you for
he was unbelievable when he was at Man City, wasn't he?
He was brilliant at Derby as well, but he just picked his moments. You know what I mean? He just someday he wouldn't go near the ball and he wouldn't fancy it. And the next day he would run the show.
It's funny, Baz. There's been a few of them wee lads overweight, you know, playing in the middle of the field at times. It would surprise you, you know, with the amount of ability that they have at times. And no, you don't.
Look, Barry had a great career. Barry Molloy had a great career. Count, don't be digging him out. Hey, Jesus. What a joke.
Barry knows what I'm chatting about.
You have to go back to what you said at the start there. All the medals I won. Remember it?
That's true. Oh, we'll get to that, Barry. We'll get to that.
Don't forget that.
Relax yourself. We'll get.
Club, and if to go and play for the first team there, you've got to be able to deal with playing in front of 25, 30,000 people at Pride Park. Or you know, do you ever remember a time where that stands out in your mind where you got maybe hammered? I mean, John Gregory looked like a bit of a hard taskmaster and was probably a bit old school. Did you have any run-ins with Gregory, or was it your youth coach that you did?
I would say when Gregory was there, it was the closest I got to getting around the first team. He had me involved quite a lot, and I travelled. Back then, it was only 5 subs, so we travelled with 18 men, and then 2 men missed out. And for about a year, I was always the 18th or 17th man. I just missed out in making the squads a couple of times, But Gregory was very, very good to me, and I remember actually one game away to Stoke where he came up to me after the match and said, "Listen, I'm very sorry I couldn't get you involved. I'm trying to get you in there, but it's just tough at the minute." And then, but no, he was dead on. I know he was old school and stuff like that, but he was always very straight. He would tell you how it is, and I like that about him. But I struggled to see whenever I was younger going into the first team environment because I was that quiet. I was very, obviously the accent and stuff like that, I was very reserved and stuff. And it took me about 6 months to come around and come out of my shell a wee bit. And I think we had a night out actually. The first team had a night out and I went out and I was pissed. So I was in the middle of all these ex-England pros and people like that on the dance floor buzzing. And after that, then they loved me. So that was the icebreaker for me. But no, there was no moment where I was like, fucking hell, I'm just shitting myself here or anything in front of a manager or anything like that. But I was lucky. I was unlucky, I suppose. I never got pushed a wee bit more with Gregory because I felt like I was quite close to doing it.
So with Gregory leaving then, that probably wasn't a good thing for you then, because obviously George Burley comes in then, and does he not fancy you? Or, because sometimes we've talked about it before, you need a lot of luck in football, and John Gregory likes you as a player, and then he leaves, and then another manager comes in, doesn't fancy. Is that the kind of way it panned out at Derby?
It probably did, to be fair. Now, when Gregory was there, I was the reserve captain as well, so I was doing really well with the reserves, and in fairness, I was actually playing centre half more than I was playing centre midfield. But I was, like I say, I was pushing for the first team to get into the squad, and then Burley came in, and his nephew Craig Burley was there at the time, and Craig was saying to me, "Listen, you'll love playing under Georgi. He'll give you a chance in that." And I thought, happy days, I can't wait for this. But he came in and straight away, for whatever reason, he just didn't like me or whatever. I don't know if I don't know why, but maybe he just thought I wasn't good enough for anything. But I was nothing to do with his plans, and that was it. I was basically the end of it then. And he shafted me a wee bit as well, because before I went to Drogheda, he couldn't wait to get me out the door. But what I learned after that as well was Bournemouth wanted to take me, and they were like an up and coming team at the time. And I thought, I didn't know anything about this, and then I found out about 4 or 5 months later, and a guy got in touch with me saying Bournemouth were trying to take you down there and they wanted to sign you and stuff. And then oh, for fuck's sake, there's no need for that kind of crack. But
you're a young lad, 19 years of age, and you're sort of coming over and back to Derry, and you're a professional footballer at this stage. What is young Barry Molloy coming home to Derry with his Derby tracksuit? How is he? What does his weekend consist of? Is he out giving a big time and Sandinos or the Bentley, or is he in the gym, or what's he doing?
See, to be fair, I never drunk until my 18th birthday. So all the lads, I'll not drop any names on here, but all the lads, there was a lot of Irish boys at Derby at the time, and they did love their nights out. Now, up until I was about 17, I was a wee small skinny boy who I was never going to get into nightclubs anyway, but I had no interest in booze until I had my 18th birthday, and then it all went downhill then, to be fair. But see, to be fair, any time I get back to Derry, I loved it. I was straight out. I was literally dropping my bags in the house and then straight out to town with the lads and stuff like that, and I loved it. But I would like to think I wasn't a big time charity or anything.
Was it really difficult for you to adapt initially to coming back to Ireland and you're leaving that sort of multi-million-pound training facility and you're going to Drogheda? How did you manage that? Because I'm sure it must have been very difficult.
Well, firstly, I did struggle. Like the thought of leaving Derby, I got to a stage where I knew I wasn't going to be playing at Derby, so I thought, right, I'm going to have to look at my options here. And the lucky thing for me was that towards the end of my Derby career, I went on loan to Drogheda for 3 months. So I went and played with Drogheda, and I loved it. Paul Dolan came in literally as I arrived, and the training was good. And Paul was very professional and stuff like that. So I went there for 3 months, had a good time, helped keep Drogheda in the league. And then I left, I thought, right, happy days, I'm going to go back to Derby, I'm going to push to get back into the first team. And then that never happened. So I knew I had Drogheda wanting to sign me. So it made it a lot easier, to be fair, because I had no time to think about it and think, right, I didn't make it and hang on to my failure. I just went right straight back into Derby or Drogheda, and I started playing within a week. And that sort of, the rest is history as such. That was an experience, the first meet with Cancel.
Tell us about that. I've heard from other players, like obviously, like Stephen O'Flynn played at Institute and stuff, and he's not the easiest man in the world to speak to, I think. Is that fair to say?
Well, he's, especially at the start when you don't know him. Now, I was on the phone to him a few times, and the line would go dead. Like, he'd be there, he'd be literally 20 seconds, and you'd be like, hello, Stephen, you still there? And then about 5 seconds, they'd be like, yeah. Like, what the fuck?
He was just zoning out.
Oh, he was just, I don't know, he done it all the time. He just went silent, and then you're thinking, what's the crack with this boy? But then, when I met him then, he's just, like, Kenzo's unbelievable manager and stuff like that, and I don't want to say anything negative about him, but he's definitely he's a character.
Geez, Barry, you have to give us a bit more than that.
Well,
character.
the first meeting, I met him in Monaghan, in a hotel in Monaghan, and it was like halfway from Derry or whatever. So we went in and he ordered the tea and stuff, and sitting there, I was like, I'll take a cup of tea, and he's pouring the tea, and he fucking overfills the cup. Tea's pouring all over the table. I'm like, what the fuck? What's going on here, man? I'm like, Stephen, right, you alright? So I took the tea and messed it up all you up and sorted it out.
Is he nervous character just or?
No, not even. Just I'd say more clumsy, like.
Right.
But that was the start of it then, like. But I just sat down there, man, and it was quite funny how he negotiated and stuff. But he seemed to know everything. He knew, I thought he knew what I was on at Drogheda and stuff, and he was saying, right, I know you're on X, Y, and Z at Drogheda. I'm going to give you this. And I was like, well, I'm not actually on that. I'm on more than that.
Yeah.
And he was all taken back, and it was like as if I was trying to get more money out. I was just being honest. I was saying, well, I'm not actually. I'm on a wee bit more than that, so I'm expecting a wee bit more as well, you know. But it was just very funny. Like, when he was giving me their contract details, what he was going to offer you, he would write it down in the calculator and hide it, and then flash it in front of you. And I'd be like, would you take that, would you? I swear to God, like, no lie, he used to always do it. He'd be like making sure no one could see it, and then he'd flash the calculator in front of you.
Was the calculator used throughout your negotiations throughout your career?
Aye, well, it used to always meet you where we one of them wee folders, and we zip folders.
Aye.
Yeah. And then I had the calculator would come out, then you knew it was getting serious, like the money was coming out. But no, Stephen was brilliant. It was very, very funny to be fair.
stuff like that there. So obviously, look, Barry, you mentioned some of the players there. Like, I can imagine training was 100 mile an hour and very competitive. Did it ever spill over? Was there ever any heated exchanges?
Well, to be fair, with myself, not really. I was always one of those players who, that was my game, getting into tackles and stuff and breaking it up. But I never really got into any heated exchanges. But there was a few lads who definitely clashed a few times. Kashi, he was there for a brief spell. Him and Deirdre clashed, and him and Alan Murphy clashed. It was always Deirdre, to be fair.
Yeah.
But
I was just about to say that there, because that's funny when you mentioned Derry. He'd be a very reserved character, wouldn't say too much, and he'd be one of the quiet lads, no?
To be fair, Deirdre he's just a winner. Do you know what I mean? And he wants to win everything. Do you know what I mean? If it's running, if it's five-a-side, getting his place. If he's not playing, he's not happy. But that's not to say he's not a good pro, but he was involved in a lot of sort of skirmishes with, like I say, Alan Murphy clashed with a few times, Cash as well.
Who's Cash? Is that Brian Cash? Was he at Nottingham Forest?
Brian Cash, I came back to Derry, and he was, for the first season, he was unreal, absolutely unbelievable at Derry, and then I just fell away a wee bit. But what a player he was, and I played against him at times when he was at Forest. That was our big rivals, Derby and Forest, but he was quality. I thought this boy's going to play for the first team, but for whatever reason, he came back to Derry, and Derry had a good season out of him as well.
It's funny, when I started playing, stay with Harps there and stuff, and I think me and Derry might be the same age. I think we're similar age. He's in around 30, 34, 35. Would he be that age as well?
He's a year below me, so.
And I remember, geez, this boy never shuts up. He has the biggest mouth. And a game of football, I swear to God, he would be talking constantly in your ear. And he would talk almost as much as he played. Now, obviously, his quality was unbelievable. Like, you could rarely get near him. And he would end up frustrating you so much, because every time he would pass the ball, or every time you might pass the ball, or if you made a mistake, he'd be on you straight away. And I remember just thinking, this boy here is a fucking torture. Literally.
I would say to be fair, he was a dick to play against. You know what I mean? Yeah. But he was class, to be fair. And people forget that Deirdre was playing for Derry since he was about 15 as well. 15, 16, I think. He made his debut. Yeah. But he was so intense, to be fair to him, and he wanted to win everything. But I would say definitely it was a fun. A bit like Mickey Fonson.
A similar vintage, similar.
You know what I mean? No, is that
100%. Definitely one of them boys when you play against him. That man's a dick there, but you always want them in your team.
I was just saying, I hated playing against him. He was an absolute torture. But like I said, when I went to Harps, I got to know him. But he got me sent off the first time I ever played against Harps.
He's good at that. You're not the only man to fall victim to that. Side. Don't be worried about that.
He stood me in the back, and I got a yellow card for it and got sent off. Second yellow, I swear to God.
Barry, you must have done something.
No, he went down screaming. I had studs in my back, and I got a second yellow. See you there, 40 minutes into the match.
What a man Funsty is.
Funsty has these referees on toast, so he has these referees just eating out of the palm of his hand. He should be ashamed.
That voice, isn't it? It's just a voice. It's just a small, isn't it? Do you know what I mean?
He does Funsty does have a very distinctive screech. But as you're saying about Derry and that, and it's the same with Funsty, like, they're players you want in your team because they're winners, and they'll do whatever it takes to win. And if that means getting Barry Molloy sent off, then so be it.
Yeah, Barry, I watched the clip of that night you went to Gretna. You played, well, it was Fir Park. You played Gretna, and the 5-1. And I'd seen highlights obviously back then when it happened, but it just was to jog the memory of who all played and stuff. I had a wee look there recently, and the standard of goals, like, Derry has scored two absolute worldies, like a free kick and then one's dropped the edge of the box. I think Kieran Martin scored another worldie. Darren Kelly scored a great header to send you on your way to start things off. Who got the other one?
Big Kieran got two.
Kieran, two crackers.
He scored two crackers. Deirdre scored two crackers, and then Darren's header was unbelievable as well.
Yeah.
And now we were 1-0 down in that match after 10 minutes, and we were looking around going, "We're going to get hammered here."
Yeah. So how does
I
that
was
night?
that night, believe it or not.
You were there?
Aye, because I was there was a lad from Derry called Matthew Doherty from Grey Steel, and he was at Hearts as well. So obviously we decided to drive down to Fir Park. So I was in the Derry end that night.
Derry lads?
I was in the Derry end, and I was going bananas. I just remember them singing Teenage Kicks, and like there was probably what 5,000-6,000 Derry fans there. Like place was absolutely bouncing. But I was telling Cowan before, it was a mad game because any time Derry and Kieran Martin seemed to be having a strike, it was flying in the top corner. It was madness, like.
It was one of them games, just everything. Like the second half especially, just them two boys, just whatever they hit with top corners, and it's hard to, like you say, you don't really appreciate it until you look back now how good it was.
Yeah.
You know, you look back at them goals and like Deirdre's first one, the free kick, world class. And then the second strike, I was beside him to the left. I shouted, give me it. I was like, no, good man, go ahead. I'm not going to score, to be fair.
I'd say he's reminded you of that one over the years, Barry, I'd say.
Big 10.
I'll tell you what. What's the preparation like for those type of games compared to maybe, you know, you're just going to play Shamrock Rovers or Bows or teams like that?
See, in fairness, with Stephen, every game he treated the same. Now, I know when you play in Europe, you have to be there earlier and stuff, so it changes your preparation a wee bit. But everything that we done leading up to the PSG or the Gretna match, we would have done when we were playing Longford or whoever. Like, it doesn't really matter. We met the same times before. We'd done our video analysis. He knew every single player, what they were good at, what they weren't so good at. He was so thorough. And the good thing about Stephen in that season in particular was that we prepared the same for every single match. It got to the point where we were away in Drogheda, and one of the lads the night before ordered a Coke. One of the young lads, wee Studzy, ordered a Coke with his dinner. And he went mad. He's like, you don't do that at Derry City. You know what I mean? Wee Studzy was like the only young lad.
Right.
But that was the kind of him. Do you know what I mean? He was so professional, yet well. You know, he didn't mess about. He took a packet of crisps off me and Pickett. Last game of the season, we came on the bus with 2 packets of potato, cheese and onion. Grabbed them. You're not having them.
Right.
So that was a game.
So professionalism,
you know what I mean?
from the first game to the last game of the season.
100%. He is. Madman, he used to go around after the European games that we get like a packed lunch and there was crisps in it. He got Gavin Doherty, the kit man, to go around and take all the crisps out. Yeah. So the boys aren't having them. Even though we just played a match.
Was he as a number 2 in there? Was he the bad cop, or what was his role in there? Like, how did you find integrity?
I have to say, I loved Higgsy from the first day I met him. Still now, he's top class. Love him. Now, at Derry, he was very tactically very good as well. He knew a lot about the League of Ireland and such, but his main role at Derry was getting people up for games and that. He was an unbelievable motivator. You know yourself, like he was punching his hand and you're going, oh, please not me, like he's an animal, like. But he was unbelievable. Stephen was the calm one, and he sort of got players feeling good about themselves, and then Higgsy would give you the kick up the arse. But Higgsy was class from the first day I met Higgsy. He was absolutely brilliant. Madman,
he's a madman. Did he ever fucking manhandle any of the Derry boys in there? Like when I suppose you are like had a lot of success. He mightn't have needed to start going bananas, but like I mean, he's someone that likes that type of, he likes that side of it. I don't think I can Paul Haggerty as an effective animal, as they say.
Oh, 100%. See, he used to join in if we were down numbers or something like that, he would join in the training sessions, and he wanted to win. He wanted to win more than some of the lads.
Yeah.
See, to be fair, I remember one of the first sessions I had with Derry. It was pre-season, was obviously in February or something like that, but we were training in St. Colum's Park and we were doing park runs, and it was freezing. It was like -4, hailstones, and all the lads were in the car like, I don't fancy this. And Higgsy was like, come on, they fuck boys. And he was out and he ran around the gravel with studs on. All the boys had their trainers, but he had his studs on. I think it was something like that, and he was running around the park, machine, madman.
He's probably the hardest man ever to grace fucking Derry or Finn Harps or any, like the League of Ireland, the Irish League, he is as hard as nails. I'd say that day he was running about a fixture as well.
Oh, he used to get the top off and I'll give it all this, and I'm in better shape than some of these boys. And he was, to be fair, he was. I
think the European run, obviously it led to Kenny going, but do you think you didn't win a league title? Because I'd say that must be a regret when you look at that Derry team and what you've achieved, that you didn't win a league title. Like, do you look back and think that was a team that should have won a league? Really?
100%. I mean, the first year we were unlucky. We lost on the last day away to Cork. They beat us. They won the league, but we were above our expectations at that stage. That was coming from avoiding relegation the year before.
Yeah.
They going into their final game on top of the league. Now the second year, I know that the best team always wins the league, but I actually feel that we were the better team in the league that year. But Shells went on, they won it on goal difference. And people forget as well, like we missed out in the treble that year on goal difference. We won the 2 cups. Yeah. We should have won the league, to be fair, but I think we lost.
You lost the league on goal difference, did you?
Goal difference, they beat us on.
Yeah, that's hard on the JK.
But we lost to Waterford at home, I think, 2 or 3 games to go. And that sort of...
There's a famous Stuart Byrne interview where he's absolutely caning Stephen Kenny when they won the league. What was that all about again? Just can you remind me what he was having a real go at Stephen Kenny? Did Kenny come out and say something about Shelburne?
I think Stephen was in touch with Kevin Hunt, who played for Bows, and Shells on the last day were playing Bows. So this is the way I got it anyway, that Stephen was chatting to Kevin Hunt saying, do us a favour. Now, Stuart Byrne was out of order, in my opinion. I thought, you don't come out after you've won the league, you should be gracious. You shouldn't be going out and slagging opposition managers or players. Yeah. And I thought he was out of order, to be fair. And after that, I thought, no, I don't like this boy here. You don't do that. Now, I know he's on TV and stuff like that now, and he comes across all right and stuff like that. But from that day, I thought, no, that's out of order. Right? You don't come out and you should be coming out saying how good you've done yourself. You shouldn't be coming out slagging anyone else off. And it was a bit embarrassing because he was cursing and all on TV, and I thought, you don't do that, like, do you know what I mean? And we were obviously devastated as well, but that just rubbed salt into the wound as well. And I think I've left a few bad notes.
Did you get a nibble at him next season then when you played against him?
I always get a nibble at him. Like, he was a class player, to be fair, but I always enjoyed playing against him. Him and Jim Crawford and boys like that. I used to love kicking them as well. But I love playing against them because they were the top boys about it at that stage. But I never got my own back on though because he won more league titles than me. So.
Thank you. How do you think? Like the first, I suppose he's come in, you know, and I think as well, me and Fork sort of, I suppose, talk about, you know, the League of Ireland and the expectation that some, like, people have been calling for Stephen to come in and do that job for maybe 2 years now, because the brand of football that he was playing for with Dundalk, people were saying ludicrous stuff at times that half that Dundalk team could play in the Irish team. You know what I mean? Like, so there's massive expectation on him coming in, massive pressure. You know, how do you think that he's going to deal with that?
I think Stephen thrives in that kind of, you know, pushing himself, and he's always been one of those managers that he wants to get to the top. Now it is going to be a very, very difficult job because he's trying to change the whole way that Ireland play. We all know that the last 10 years or so in Ireland have qualified for a few tournaments, but the football has been terrible. You know, it's not been good to watch. And for him to go on now and stamp as a 40 on it and go, right, we're going to play it in the back, we're going to be more attractive. It's going to take a lot of work, and it's not going to happen overnight. But I think if he gets a good year at it and there's pressure taken off him a wee bit, I think he'll actually do a good job. But obviously, it's a massive, massive job. But there's good signs on. I know people are expecting miracles straight away, but there was the early signs. It's good. We've got some good players there, players who can play better football than we have done the last 5 or 6 years.
I suppose from a League of Ireland fan's point of view, I'm just glad that he's got that, you know, and, you know, like, best of luck to him. And I know Rurie's on the management team as well. Higgsy's over with them. Colin O'Neill's on the physio, helping him out there as well. So look,
he fucking needs Paul Haggerty. That's what he needs. He needs Paul Haggerty in there grabbing Robbie Brady by the fucking throat.
How good would it be if Higgsy was in there and he got angled or something? Put your hand
bang on the table. You're fucking shit! Fucking shit!
Shit!
What about Roddy Collins? I mean, that was a bit of a you know, like Roddy Collins is a huge character in the League of Ireland. He's had a lot of success as a manager. Came up to Derry. He talked about bringing the glory days back to the Brandywell and whatnot. But I mean, it went south for him very, very quickly. Can you give us a bit of insight into how that happened? Was it a case of you just not buying into what he was saying, or what happened, Barry?
No, like, personally, I liked Roddy. I liked him. I wasn't too sure about him beforehand, but then once I got to meet him and work with him, I actually liked him. Now, pre-season, I remember us doing pre-season training, and he sent me home one day. He says, right, you've done enough. Don't be coming into training tomorrow. You're too fit for this season. I was like, all right, no worries. I says, I'll come in tomorrow and do a bit of stretching. He was like, no. He said, trust me, I don't want you to come in. If you come in, I'm going to fine you. Like, he was joking about, like, you're too fit for this stage of the season. But Cliff Burnham, and he made him captain. And that didn't sit well with me, to be honest. And no, I didn't throw the toys out of the pram or anything like that, but I just
Were you the captain? Did he take the captaincy off you?
I was captain more so because Deirdre was injured a lot, but I was captain the year before. I was captain for loads of games, and then, like I say, he came in then straight away. There's the armband to someone else who has no identity with Derry and stuff like that. And I just thought, that didn't do it for me, and I probably suffered my game because I didn't play too good under Roddy. And no, I did really like him. I've a lot of time for Roddy as well, and I wouldn't say anything bad about him, but that sort of set the tone for myself. And a few results went against us then, and then.
Just to go back to Roddy Collins for a second, was there an incident involving his son and James McLean, or was that another rumour? Or, like, remember, Cowan, you might know a bit more about it, Cowan, because you brought it up with me, but you said something. I remember reading it at the time. Roddy Collins' son was playing. I don't think he was the best player in the world. And James McLean, who wasn't at Derry at the time, I don't know if he was back on the Twitter machine or something, but was there something that happened there? Can you tell us a little bit about that, Molloy?
No, I don't think it's any secret. James was very vocal in his criticism of Roddy. And I think he might have, I'm not too sure now, so don't quote me on this, but he might have said something about Roddy Jr. as well. And obviously, it's a difficult position to be in when your dad's the manager. And I think Roddy Jr., he wasn't good enough for Derry. And I think, in hindsight, he shouldn't have signed him for the club. And I think he was playing him in front of Shane McElhenney and stuff. And I really liked Roddy Jr. as well. He was a good lad and stuff, but he wasn't good enough. And I think playing him and pushing him to play, I don't think it was a good idea from Roddy, and the fans turned on him as well. But I think James was just giving a bit of criticism and stuff like that. And then when James used to come back to Derry with his trained with us and stuff, and then obviously Roddy pulled him, and young Roddy, and says, "What's the crack? What have you been saying?" And he just pulled him about it, and then a few words were exchanged, and you could tell it was getting a wee bit heated, and there was a few blows and stuff like that. But to be fair to Roddy, I took my hat off to him. I felt fair play to you. He stood up to him and you asked him what was he doing, why was he criticising him and stuff like that. But there was a few blows.
Did McLean stand over what he was saying? Did McLean stand over what he was saying to him? And then there was a bit of a tear up. Was there a few punches thrown?
To be fair, James wasn't backing down either. He was just saying, I was just being honest. I didn't think he's have done very well since he came to the club, and your dad hasn't done a good job either. But obviously, when someone's slagging your dad off as well, it must hurt a wee bit, and then the pride sort of got in the way. But there was a few blows, I think, from each other, but then it was quickly broken up. But it wasn't a nice situation to be in. And I felt a wee bit sorry for Roddy because I think his dad was sacked a wee bit before that as well, and it must have been a difficult time for him. And then I just didn't enjoy that sort of side of things. You know what I mean?
Yeah, obviously, Roddy coming. It's in the genes. Does he have a wee bit about him? Has he got a good right cross, or what's the story?
Oh, he gave as good as he got. To be fair to him, and like I said, it broke up pretty quickly. But yeah, no, he definitely handled himself. You could see the old Collins boxing team coming through him.
Yeah,
I wouldn't want to mess with him.
A few combos on McLean there, was there?
A few what combos?
A few combinations.
I think James was trying to get him to the ground, UFC style or something like that.
He was trying to get him in an arm bar. No chance.
He was trying to get him to, but Roddy was having on it.
Good stuff. Right, so look, I'm going to you did a bit for a local rag, a local newspaper over here, and you named your best Derry 11. So you did Ger Doherty, Eddie McCallion, Danny Lafferty, Peter Hutton, Darren Kelly, Kevin Deary, Kieran Martin, Patrick McElhenney, Paddy McCord, Gary Beckett, and Mark Farron. Late Mark Farron. God rest him. Some tubes on there.
Some tubes.
Some tubes not rest.
Some characters, lad. Some characters.
I'll tell you what, I just obviously I've got my Finn Harps jersey on here just underneath this here one. Like unbelievable players to play with. Ger Doherty's obviously still playing, and of course Danny Lafferty and a lot of the other guys still playing. Paddy McElhenney, unbelievable talents. Ger Doherty, probably the best goalkeeper League of Ireland League with the ball at his feet. The way he clips it out, and he's like just going through that team. They are unbelievable standard to be involved in that dressing room. Now a couple of lads that didn't make it, the likes of maybe James McLean, lads that have gone across the water, Steve McLaughlin, they weren't considered for that team.
Well, Paddy, you can't not have Paddy McCord on your team. I think he's one of the most gifted players they play in Ireland the last 25 years. You know what I mean? He's top class. So obviously I picked Paddy over James. James now was immense for Derry as well, but I just think Paddy top class. And then on the right, you had Paddy McElhenney. Like for me, he was one of the most talented young boys to come through at Derry as well. And unbelievable player. But I mean, it's hard to pick an 11, isn't it? You know what I mean? When you look back on the players you don't pick as well, it's harsh, but it's the boys I enjoy playing with as well. Do you know what I mean? It was one of them ones you used to just give the ball to Paddy.
Yeah,
he was that good. You just give him the ball, he'll do the rest.
Are you surprised McElhenney didn't go across to England and sort of follow the likes of Stephen McLaughlin and James McLean and players like that? And because he's an exceptionally talented player. Like some of the things he can do is frightening. But you know, from someone who's played with him, is there a reason why you'd think it hasn't worked out for him in England?
Well, like you say, Paddy for me was the most talented of all of them. If you put him and James together, Paddy ability-wise was here, but James's drive and professionalism was here. Maybe in his early career he enjoyed his nights out and stuff like that a wee bit too much, and that probably held him back. And maybe that's got something to do with his injuries and stuff now. But for a talent, he's unbelievable. And as they say, lad, just dedicate yourself for a year, get into the gym, do a wee bit in pre-season, and try and get a wee bit fitter, because you're more than capable of going across the water. But it just never happened for him. And I know he did go across for Oldham, but he struggled with injuries and stuff like that. But it's just a shame to see the injuries he's had, because again, like Paddy McCord, he could have went so much higher, in my opinion.
No, he's unbelievable. I've been playing against him for Dundalk there, like at times, and you know, you think you had him, like, and he would just do something. Like you'd be like setting yourself ready to try and make a tackle or to block a space or to block his run. Next thing you'd have a shot and it's in the back of the net, like, and you're just like, he's just on a different level to a lot of players in that league, I think, especially like going back maybe 2-3 years ago. Like he was a totally different level, and you know, I suppose Kenny had him buzzing as well, and you know, he was really the right manager for him. That seemed to
see, if you look at Paddy when he went to Dundalk, he did dedicate himself a wee bit better. He was a machine. He was a tank. His legs, everything. He obviously had the gym and that, and he bought into what Stephen was doing again at Dundalk, and see how good he was getting as well. And even in the European games, probably the star man in a few of the matches. I thought this boy can hold his own at this level, not a problem. And I reckon, just with a wee bit more luck and with his injuries, he might have been one of those lads who's playing in England and maybe close to an Ireland call it. But just really unfortunate with the injuries and stuff, because like you say, he could make stuff happen, and he was a special player, definitely.
He always seemed to see it a wee bit differently. I always seemed to see it like a couple of seconds quicker or whatever. He was just he was horrible to play against. I always remember that now.
Like you say, at times you think you've got him and you know what he's going to do, but it's hard to stop him. Do you know what I mean? He can play left, right foot. He's strong, he's quick, he's got a great shot on him. He's very, very hard to mark. I've tried a few times in training and he's left me for dead.
Best player you ever played with, Barry? Paddy McCord, best player.
It's hard. Like I said earlier, I know I only played a few games with him, but Kinkladze as well. One of them kind of players. But But Paddy, I definitely one of the best anyway, if not the best. Like, definitely, he's such a good player. Like.
Not Funston, not Mickey Funston.
Well, he was in the top 3, to be fair. Top 3.
He was third in the list.
Very, very close to Pat and Paddy, like, you know what I mean. But I had to stick with my Derry roots, you know what I mean.
What was Kevin McHugh close? Was Kevin McHugh close to making your top 11?
Oh, 100%. Kevin, I always knew about Kevin when he was at Harps, but I didn't appreciate how good he was until he signed for Derry. And then he played like the right of a front three as well, and he was unreal in Europe. So good in that right position as well. But cracking player and someone you wanted in your team as well.
He didn't really get a run up front at Derry though, didn't he? Like what you said, he kind of played on the right, didn't he?
Well, he had a big part to play that year on the right in Europe and stuff, but it was hard because he had Beckett and Farm up front as well, and them two were class acts, and he probably didn't get as many games as he would have liked, but anytime he played, to be fair, he was brilliant for Derry, and I love playing with him. And Kevin's top man as well. He's always good to having a night out too, in case you get on a scrap.
Just shows you that rivalry is there between Derry and Harps. That even though McHugh is a brilliant player for Derry, they still seen him as the great striker that he was for Harps.
Probably, in fairness, but I think a lot of the proper Derry supporters appreciated how good he was, and they were happy that he was at the club. But you know yourself, you're going to get some dickheads, aren't you, who are not going to like someone for who they used to play for. And sure, I get the same when I went back to play for Harps against Derry, where the Derry fans turned on me a wee bit as well. And I was there for 10 years, give them everything, and then they turned on me and stuff like that. So you can't pick the two players, no, you know what I mean? Would they
giving you stick for like going and playing for Harps after being
sure, you know yourself, you were playing.
When?
Remember after we were warming down afterwards, and there were fans trying to get over to us and stuff and screaming at me and that when we drew them to each. They'd on to equalise.
That's right. That's right.
And there were stewards all holding these Derry fans back, and I was like, "What the fuck?" Like,
were they trying to get at you?
Fuck. That's like when you see. That's what annoys me there. Like, you know, because look, no disrespect, Barry. Probably what the Derry team would have been like then. You've obviously moved on, and Derry didn't seem fit to offer you a contract, right? Now, Harps needed what you had, and you were fucking excellent for us, like for the times you were there. Like I remember, like it was kind of a thing where I knew myself, if Barry was in the team, I knew we'd be all right. I knew with you and that number 6 role playing in front of me, I knew we had a hell of a chance of getting something out of that. And that's at a stage probably when we weren't, you know, the picking up points or 3 points or whatever it was like few and far between. But the amount of like the work you did, the work rate you put in, the effort you put in could never be called into question by anybody. Like, you know, it's absolutely amazing. And you know, I'd say like if you were honest, you would probably would have wanted to be playing for Derry. Is that
well,
fair to say?
to be honest, right? And not a lot of people know this, right? But when I left Crusaders, I says to myself, I'm going to retire because my ankles and stuff, I just didn't feel right.
Yeah.
And then Derry got in touch. Kenny Shields got in touch with me, and I thought, fuck, happy days. I'd love to go back. Yeah. Now, I met Kenny Shields, right?
Yeah.
And at this stage, I was like, I'm not going to play again. But I thought, I'd love to go back and give it another go with Derry. So I met Kenny, and Kenny, there was something wasn't right anyway, and they offered me the worst contract I've ever heard in my life. Kenny Shields sat me down and tried to get me to sign this contract, and it was like £80 a week. Right? Now, that was like nearly, I couldn't even tell you, it was like nearly 20% of what I was at with Derry. Now, I'm not saying I'm the best player in the world or anything like that, but the years that I gave Derry, and then he offered me a contract for £80 a week.
Yeah.
And now, I didn't even catch on, and then later on I was sitting in the house and I was like, did he just offer me £80 a week to play for Derry? Go and train 4 or 5 days a week? I was like, who the fuck's this? That pissed me off. I just thought, this fuck him. Like, I had no time for men. Now, I probably got on alright with him afterwards and stuff, but Jesus, that really pissed me off. And I says, nah, I'm not playing football anymore if that's what it's going to be like. And then Higgsy and Ollie got on to me, and I went and met Ollie, and I wasn't sure, but I just liked Ollie. From the first moment I met him, I liked him. I know he's very straightforward and stuff like that, but I thought, you know what, I'm not going to let Derry put me off. So I went and signed for Harps, and I was buzzing in that first game. You know yourself, I was buzzing when we beat Derry, and it was like a one up the Kenny Shield. I just thought, fuck it, I'm going to go in. And I really enjoyed my time at Harps, and I know I wasn't fit enough at times, and I probably toward the last year I was there, I couldn't make training and stuff like that, and it was a bit frustrating, and I felt I let the boys down a wee bit and stuff, but I really enjoyed my time there, and thought we done well to stay up that first year as well. Like.
Yeah, definitely. Like, and I know you were a massive part of that, but I suppose coming yourself being on, I suppose, both sides of the fence, and you know, especially after them maybe not giving you the respect probably that you do deserve and that you have earned over the years, offering you a contract that you would offer, you know, one of the lads maybe coming out of the reserve or something like that there, or one of the young lads to get them started, you know, major slap on the face, I suppose.
100%. I was just, I didn't even catch on, and then when I went and sat down, then I sort of calmed down a wee bit, and I thought, £80 a week, like, you taking the piss? Those boys probably,
It must have hurt you when the fans reacted. I know the hardcore Derry fans wouldn't have done what they done, but even a small minority of Derry fans to try to get on a pitch after giving them 10 years of service. I mean, like Cowan, obviously, I was never fortunate enough to play with you, but I played against you, obviously, the night we talked about, you know, the 2 each game, but you were an incredible player. Like, and as me as a centre midfielder, you were someone, you know, that I would look at and watch and be like, what an absolute baller. Like, and, you know, you played through injuries for Derry. Like, you must have been like that. That must have been a hard one to take when you're seeing fans that you'd gave service to for 10 years trying to jump over a fence to box you.
Well, the first game we played when we beat Derry in the opening game, now there was a bit of stick and all that. Now, I don't mind that, do you know what I mean? When it's banter and stuff like that, but it's when it went a wee bit, when it crossed the line, then I thought, how long a minute? Like, I've played for Derry for 10 years. Plus, you don't know the reason that I haven't signed for Derry is because your manager offered me that shade contract. And then I just thought, you're a wee bit out of order here. Like, no, I gave my life to Derry when I was there. I played through injuries and stuff like that. Now, Derry was good to me as well, but I just thought, Jesus, you've got short memories here. Like, you know, I sort of put a bad taste in my mouth. But now, that was a very small minority, to be fair, at that stage. And they were probably just disappointed that they drew the game, but just it wasn't a nice moment.
An opening night of the season, or the first home game when Harps beat Derry, that must have been a nice feeling. That must have been look, I've obviously still got it, but you're maybe missing out on it. You know, you're very, very happy with yourself that night.
100%. And see, the thing is about that night, I tore the ligament in my knee. I don't know if you remember. I tore the ligament in my knee about 10 minutes into the match. Now, I played about 80 minutes because I was obviously very, very determined. We went 1-0 up, and then I think we went 2 up as well. And I thought, I'm not coming off here. I'm making sure we're comfortable here, and we won the game before I come off. And unfortunately, then I think I missed about 4 or 5 weeks after that. But I played pretty well as well, and like I say, I was very, very happy afterwards. I thought, you know what, I know made it. I had a good time at Derry and stuff like that, but I was buzzing, and I know Higgsy and Ollie were buzzing after the match as well, and I just sort of it was a wee a dig at Derry as such, you know what I mean, without going over the top or anything like that, but I was just sort of, you know, I've still got something to offer here.
Yeah, 100%. I suppose being a man now that's played sort of on, you know, both sides or been in both dressing rooms for those matches, what's it like in the Derry dressing room? Because I know recently there's been a couple of players that have moved both ways, and you know they've said for Derry it's just another game against Finn Harps. For Finn Harps, it's a cup final. How did you feel being in that Derry dressing room playing against Harps?
See, in fairness, I don't think over the years, I think one game where we won 4-0 at the Brandel, that was the only game where it wasn't as hard as normal. But any time I played against Harps, it's never been easy. Do you know what I mean? But like you say, it was always one of them we were expected to win. Yeah. You know, and it was never the case we got an easy run against Harps, but we usually did win the games. And then on the flip side of things, I think it was, you know yourself, when Harps having a good season under Ollie that year was staying up. Now, the Derry games were massive for Harps. You know what I mean? And I felt that myself, and now I was going into matches buzzing as well. Even the game we played at McGinn Park as well, where we won 2-0. I was buzzing for that match as well, and I sort of probably gave an extra wee bit as well playing against Derry. But no, definitely, I think, especially in the early years under Stephen, we were expected to beat Harps, and then Harps getting anything was probably a bonus. But like I say, we never ever had an easy game either way, apart from that one where we won 4-0 at home. That was it.
But there were still big games for you, like at Derry. Like I know there was the pressure of winning, but you know, it's a local derby. It wasn't just another game, was it? It was that element of like you need to have the bragging rights.
100%.
Means a lot to the fans to get one over in Harps and face
big time. And we struggled. Say at first division year, I know we won the first game at the Brandwell 2-0, but the other two games we struggled. We should have lost to yourselves. Won each game in Finn Park. Yeah. You should have beat us 3 or 4-1. We weren't great, and you turned up that night. We didn't. We weren't there for that. There was a few of us who just couldn't get sort of stuck in that night, and we really struggled, and we were very, very unlucky. Very lucky to get a draw.
After about 35 seconds that night as well at Finn Park.
Is that right?
Aye, McFarren scored, I think, inside a minute, and we were like, for fuck's sake. But then we went on and kind of dominated the game. I think Packy Mealy got an equaliser from a set piece, but we played really well that night.
To be fair, I remember coming there going, we got away with that because if we cleared 2 off the line, Emmett Fryer's done really, really well on one of the occasions where someone should have scored and he put it up over the net, but we were very poor that night. And like some of the lads did struggle with that sort of, you know, the local derby. Some of the lads weren't prepared for it and stuff, and it's the same in the 2 each game as well, where we froze a wee bit, to be fair, but the occasion got this, and like you say, that the fans turned on us a wee bit as well, and that didn't help.
They are totally different games. Like I've never been like, even the last one that I played in was at the last one at home. No, it was actually the first game at home of the season, and it's the one where the bad tackle was on call. That one, like, and being involved in it's the one where Colm DC down the right hand side, and he's maintained that he's went for the ball. Look, it doesn't look good. Put it like that there. It looks a bad tackle. It looks a bad tackle from the angle, and like that was the first time that I've been involved in one of those games where it was toxic. Like the game was horrible. Like absolutely, like the stuff that was being shouted. Like usually it's a bit of banter, and you get the sheep shaggers, or you get the, you know, whatever, the baz from the crowd, or you know what, you get a bit about whatever. This was actually like was shouting on, like it was unbelievable. Like it was unbelievable.
But was it toxic because of what Call had said in the paper earlier that week? Is that what made it toxic? Like
there was a few elements around that time that was going to make it help. Huh?
No.
I remember reading that and I thought, Jesus lad, you're not helping yourself here, like, and it just puts too much pressure on yourself as well, you know. Like,
yeah.
I don't want to go back to myself or anything, but when I made my debut against Harps, I didn't do anything beforehand. I didn't come out and say, oh, I'm glad to get rid of Derry. Fuck Derry. I never made anything public. I didn't sort of bring any added pressure to myself, and maybe that did rub the Harps fans up a wee bit too with Kieran's comments and stuff like that, and obviously boys are getting wound up then, and maybe, you know yourself, like it's one of them, go and let him know he's in a game, but obviously you can't overstep the line as such. You want to
that's it. And I can just,
but that's it.
Yeah, I can say, like, you know, from my point of view and from a Hearts point of view, like the position we were in, I felt like Colm DC, like he looks like 45. He's only like 20, 21 at the time. And, you know, he's down the side where all the Derry fans are. So he's playing right back, and they're all down that side. So I'm sure he was getting the abuse the whole way. And now he's up against Call, and that ball breaks, and he's thinking, well, I have to go and put in a tackle here, like, you know.
I think DC gets sent off if that shit doesn't happen in the press? Or do you think cause DC tackled him and then Derry fans have reacted and there's all this shite in the press beforehand, the ref goes and sends him off?
I think you'll probably know the same. Like, people know, people read papers, people, like, that sort of stuff would spread around. The referee would know that's probably been said. The fans obviously know that's been said. So any sort of tackle was put on thing, and you know yourself, the fans are always going to add a wee bit of spice to it. Like, I actually seen it from every angle because we had the camera, we had the view, that was like sent into because it went to DC was given something like 6 or 7 games, something like that for the tackle, and he actually misses call from the angle the referee sees that, and from the angle that I've seen that, it looks terrible. Like because like you know the way once it happens, all the players are in, and I'm running straight over, and I'm thinking, once I get there, what am I going to say? Like, because it looks awful. It looks like he's gone over the ball and done him. But from the angle you saw from then, his foot goes to the ground, and you know he catches Call sort of with his knee, and then Call reacts to that. There, look, I'd say it wasn't maybe where Call wanted to be that night after what had happened, or sorry, what had gone before that, and he was getting a lot of stick every time he touched the ball, and you know I think it was just maybe the occasion maybe got to both of them, you know. And that's sort of what came out.
Oh, you're 100%. Like, see, whenever it's all over the papers and social media and stuff like that, everyone's thinking about that then before the match, and it does get to people. And you know, it obviously, like you say, any tackle on Kieran that night, the Derry fans would have been up in arms, and if Kieran had done a tackle, then the Harps fans would have been giving him grief as well. So I just think it wasn't very smart before that, coming out and saying what he said or whatever. You know, I thought it was a wee bit just didn't need to add that kind of pressure to himself.
Barry, Cowan's obviously told me, like, you obviously came to Harps and you were a fantastic player. Like you said, your professionalism and the way you played when you did play was top class. But obviously it was a great reward for you after a long career in the League of Ireland to finally get a move to a big club like Finn Harps, which it was great for you to get that move. But obviously Ollie Horgan, like, great character in that. He's known for his powers of persuasion. You know, I know you said from meeting him straight away you really liked him, but was there any particular thing he said to you, like, or was he ringing you every single day for 3 weeks and you said, fuck's sake, I'll go and sign for this man? How did it actually come about? You know, I know you said things didn't go well with Kenny Shields and whatnot, but you know, Ollie is a persuasive man. Can you tell us a wee bit about that negotiations?
I just remember meeting him in what's that? Clanree. On the Clanree, yeah. So we met in the Clanree, and I got there early, and I got the teas in, and then he came, and I was like, he's all, oh, did you get? I'll pay for that now, and I was like, no, I got it. He's all, what? Thanks very much. You know, he was loving it, like, and I was all, just a cup of tea, like. But no, he was, to be fair, well, he was very straightforward, and he didn't blow any smoke up my arse. To be fair, it wasn't as if he was saying, oh, you're this, you're that. He was like, well, you don't have many years left now, you know, and you know, he was very honest. Like, do you know what I mean? He wasn't building me up or anything. He says, we could, you know, we could do it, but if you don't sign, we'll go and sign someone else. Do you know what I mean? And, but I like that honesty. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. I thought fair enough, and he wanted me to be there and stuff, and he sort of gave me a wee buzz for it again as well. And because I was at that stage, I had lost interest. I thought I'm not going to play. My ankles aren't right. I don't think I can do it anymore. But he just said, listen, go and speak to Colm, see what he thinks about your ankle and stuff. And you know, we would love to have you, but if you don't sign, we're going to literally sign someone else. So do what you want, kind of thing. But he was brilliant with me from the day I got on there, and I know he was disappointed when I got injured after the Derry match and that, and because we started really well. But I loved Ollie. He's 100% character, like, you know what I mean. Yeah. He's no frills. He's there with his green shorts and his dodgy trainers and boots and stuff like that. But I love Ollie. He's done an amazing job at Harps too, and I have a lot of respect for him along the way.
Was that approach that he had give you that wee bit of extra motivation? Maybe that wee bit of, you know, kick in the arse maybe that you needed, instead of maybe going back into Derry? If Derry had offered you maybe a good contract, you'd have been in there thinking, oh, I'm in here, I was picking up a few pounds, and if I play, I play. If I don't. That hasn't worked out. So Ollie's come in and sort of said to you, well, look, if you can get back to where you were, you're going to play every game for us. You're going to be a huge player for us. Is that maybe at that stage of your career, that's the type of challenge that you needed?
100%. And I think it was the right person after what happened with Derry. Like I said, my head was gone. I didn't want to play. And then Ollie just came in, and straight away I thought, I want to play for him. Do you know what I mean? And it gave me that wee buzz again. And then obviously he was like, we're playing Derry in the first game. He says, obviously, whatever happened with Kenny Shields, what a game for you to play and stuff like that, and try and get the win over Derry and stuff. And straight up away, I just went, do you know what? I want a piece of this. I want to go and obviously I knew a few lads at Harps as well. Do you know what I mean? So it made it a wee bit easier. But he just made it. He just made it very simple for me, and I thought, you know what, I've got to try and give it a go myself. I had my doubts with my injuries, but I wanted to sort of prove that I could still do it as well, you know, in the Premier Division.
I love that. I love to hear that there sort of stuff there. The fucking Iron War horse. Get me in there. I'll do a fucking job for you, Chief. That's the.
I loved it. Like, you know yourself how much I was buzzing before the match and after the match as well. I was buzzing, but I was devastated when I got injured as well. I just knew I'd done something bad as well.
Yeah, tell you what. Well, we enjoyed that one that night. Because I say, like, we just it was one of those nights in Finn Park, and I remember the game so well because I felt we really did a number on there that night because. Probably a better football inside they would have been, definitely. I don't think there's much, you can really argue with that. But we just turned it into an absolute battle and won every tackle, won every header, won every challenge in the pitch, made it horrible for them. And just, it was just one of them nights we thought, it doesn't happen too often maybe, but we've done a job here tonight. And it was a great feeling, that one. Like, it was
100%. I think we deserved to beat them.
Oh, we did. We did, definitely that night. No, we did. Everybody was brilliant, and the boys took their goals really well. And I was happy for Kearney too. Maybe the same sort of situation as yourself, only maybe 10 years earlier, where he maybe didn't get the run at Derry that he would have wanted. He's come to Harps, and he's been able to not stick the middle finger up as a bit harsh, but I suppose just give the boys behind the goal a wee wave there on the way off. And I was delighted for Kearney that night.
I remember when I scored too. I was getting a lot of stick. On the way on the build up and stuff, and then on the warm up and stuff, and you could hear a few shouts in. I thought, that's not right. And then I scored, and I remember going, I'm celebrating here. You know what I mean? I'm going to enjoy this because I've been getting all the shit of the day off these boys. So I thought, fuck it.
What was the worst shout you got, Barry? What was the worst? What was the worst shout that you got from the crowd that stuck out? And you went, "Oh, hold on a minute, that you've overstepped the mark there."
I don't know. I can't remember, to be honest. But I know there was a few shouts. You're fucking finished your shite and all this crack and all that stuff. And I thought that sort of gave me a wee bit of motivation too. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it probably pushed me on because I had a half decent match that game, but we fans that sort of pushed me on.
You were everywhere that night. You were absolutely everywhere. You plugged every gap. You were everywhere. Like, it was. I do remember just thinking, we've got a serious player here. Like, we've got, like, they've missed a trick. They've missed a trick not getting Barry, and like we'll be all right. And then you disappear then for a month or so. We just get up to the Derry games. That's it.
No, fuck no.
They finally replaced me, Cowan, when they got Barry Molloy in there in the number 6.
Big boots they fill. Big boots they fill.
Big shorts to fill, Barry.
Here, but what was the crack of Crusaders? Like, they're obviously a massive club and had a lot of success. Just wasn't the right club for you, or was it brand of football, or what was the situation up there? It didn't really go to plan, did it?
No, see, to be honest with you, I loved every minute of Crusaders. Really, really good club. I started off, had a few really good games. I played against Portadown and we beat them 6-0. And they were top of the league, I think, at that stage. And it was probably one of the best games I've ever played. I had a really, really good game at that. And then after that, I got injured. I hurt my ankle again, and I had to get surgery on it. And
AstroTurf up there too, isn't it, Crusaders?
Well, the pitch, see, to be honest with you, I was trying so hard to get fit. I was doing loads of work in the gym. I was really wanting to get back and play. And I was playing reserve games, and one game we played Cliftonville, and I played the full match. I was buzzing. The next day, I literally couldn't walk. My ankle was that bad. I was trying to walk, and I had to sit down. I was doing a 10-minute walk or something from the shop to the house, and I had to sit down. I was nearly in tears. I was that bad. Like, I just couldn't walk. And I just said, I can't do this. My ankle was just awful, and I was just thinking, you know what? I don't want to not be able to play with my wee boy and stuff like that. Yeah. And from then on, I just thought, I can't play it. And I think it was the pitch, to be honest. The pitch, before they relayed it, wasn't great, and people warned me about it before. But any time I trained there, I couldn't walk the next day. I was in bits, and I probably put the nail in the coffin for me up there because I really wanted to do well, because I really enjoyed it. Top club, top players, everything was
Baxter,
brilliant.
a good manager, yeah.
Brilliant. I loved Stephen as well. He was an all-one. He was a great manager as well. And like I said, when I spoke to Stephen, he was one of the managers that I wanted to play for. very, very, very good. And I was just disappointed that didn't work out the way I was hoping.
Definitely. Just your jersey there, Barry. What's that there? Is that the Ryan McBride Foundation? Is it?
So we played a six-a-side competition last year at the Brandywell. There's the Ryan McBride Foundation. So we actually get beaten penalties, but I think they were trying to run it every year. But obviously, with the circumstances this year, they've had to call it off. But,
yeah. I suppose just a brief bit on that there. Like, you know, what a legend he was and is, and you know, like I just remember, I know how you felt like having played with the man, and you know, having like played against him. I suppose just actually I would just like to go to you first, like on maybe how you like once the news broke. I suppose it's one of them ones you know exactly where you were and what you were doing.
I remember it well. It's just a shock, you know what I mean? Because there was no lead up to it or no signs of anything like that, so it was just a massive shock, and people just couldn't believe it. Do you know what I mean? Because he was a fit lad. He was only 27, I think. Yeah. Just top of his game. He was playing outstanding at that time, and just scored the winner against Dundalk 2 nights before that as well. It's just crazy. It's just hard to believe, and still to this day, it's very, very difficult to believe that it's happened and stuff. You know what I mean? And it's just sad. But I mean, the work that these boys are doing now under his names, it's amazing. Like, and it's nice that he got the stadium named after him, and the Mark Farren stand as well. It's nice for Mark's family as well. So two absolute legends of the club. Like, and you know, like, I actually just remember when I hearing about Ryan McBride, and like I remember the shock that I got, because for me he was like the pinnacle of, especially he could have been a centre half as well, and having the battles against him. And you know, I just remember thinking he was at the level that I needed to get at. You know, he was such a leader. He was such a voice, a presence. Even, you know, being a relatively young lad coming through, he felt that, you know, as soon as he got on the scene, he just had everybody's respect from the way that he played, the way that he conducted himself. You know, like a real proper hero. Like, he was just a legend at the club. And you know what the people of Derry seem to be doing as family now with the foundation and that there. And you know, I suppose is there different ways to maybe get in contact with them? Is there like a Facebook page, or is there a website, or they're all over social media. They've got Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter as well, I think. So they do advertise a lot in what they're doing, and I think they've got a 5-a-side competition coming up now for different age groups and stuff like that. Right. So there's plenty of opportunities to get involved, and we teams and all to get involved, and I know they do like the camps and stuff like that for a fiver and things. So it's all good work that they do, and it's all community based. So it's definitely something they push for people to get involved in.
That's brilliant. I think what sums up Ryan McBride as a player was, do you remember the tackle down in Cork? And he cleans 2 lads, and the one tackle. I mean, if someone's never seen Ryan McBride play, and you just needed a segment, just that tackle sort of summed up what he was like. Like, you know, just clattered 2 boys. But I mean, obviously,
it was an unbelievable challenge, and he should never have got a yellow card for it.
No, I know.
It was unbelievable.
You know what I remember about that match? I remember watching it on RT. It was a live game. Paul Hegarty was the caretaker manager at Derry at that stage. So you can just imagine Higgsy inject that.
He would have been buzzing.
He would have been buzzing. He would have been buzzing with that. But now, nice to touch on Ryan. Obviously, Mark Farren, you played with him. What an unbelievable player. What an incredible player. Obviously, a little bit different to the Ryan McBride situation, where obviously you knew Mark unfortunately wasn't well, and probably, you know, it's never easy, but you can prepare yourself a little bit for that. But you would have been close to Farren, I'm sure, because you would have been around the same age and all that. But like, what a player, like what a natural goal scorer he was.
One of the best finishers I've ever seen. Just so good, and what a player. Like, he is someone who should have went to a higher level for definite.
Do you think he should have went across the water?
Without a doubt, he was on top of his game for 3 or 4 years. He was probably the best striker in Ireland. Just a serious player, and so driven, so determined to score goals. He just loved it, and he was unbelievable trainer. He was a nightmare, I would say, for defenders as well. But just an absolute gentleman as well. Just even as good a player as he was an even better person. Like, just an sad loss. Like.
Yeah, very much. So I suppose it just shows you how good he was when he kept McHugh out the right, and you know, Farren was playing up that. It just shows you the quality that he had. Like, the two unbelievable goal scorers in the League of Ireland, and you know, vying for one spot. But no, look,
he overtook Liam Coyle's record too, didn't he? He's the all-time record goal scorer at Derry, isn't he?
Mark's got the record, like, and
Like
fair
Liam
it
Coyle,
deserved.
like, it's not easy to overtake Liam Coyle either. So I think serious players, like, you know, serious players.
It just shows you the standard that Mark got there, like, you know, they break Liam's record because Liam's one of the best in the league ever, like, so for Mark they break their record with some achievement.
Yeah, no, brilliant. I'd say, Barry, if you'd have kept going up top, man, you probably would have had a fair crack at that record yourself.
Yeah, I was happy enough with 14, lad. I thought I'd done very well, to be fair.
There were 14 good goals, though. I'd say, Barry. I'd say you were a scorer of great goals as opposed to a scorer of goals. Would that be correct?
You would be correct there for once. It's the first time you've said something correct all night, day.
Jesus Christ! He's gone
Have you
on
ever
a
met this man before, Barry? This is Mark Forker here up the other side of the street. You ever meet this man before? He used to play at Harps, so he did.
Hey, me and Barry have one thing in common. Hey, George Burley didn't rate either of us. That's
I blame George Burley, to be fair.